Hey everyone, welcome back to the Poplar Report. I got with me Jonathan Rose. He is a world renowned, can I say that now? World renowned. You were just interviewed by International Business Times and Fox Business, and you were just interviewed actually by Forbes as well, weren't you?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, great publications, and always happy to work with press and give my 2 cents on the views of the economy and how precious metals is playing a role in today's what I call upheaval of the market.
Now, here at the Poplar Report, I don't think a lot of people realize how much I'm bombarded by just sponsors and affiliates, and everybody wants to work with us. And I turn down just so many requests and everything like that. But I want to make sure, first off, that they're a morally sound business, that they have a sound business model too, that they're actually, producing value out there, and that you're offering products that really will help our clients and or our viewers. And I know that you've checked all those boxes, and I'm just so excited to be partnering with you, continuing, because I think you really add a lot of value to our viewers. I'm going to spring this on you, but I actually got a card from one of our viewers. Says, grace is such a simple word, and yet it means so much. I'm not going to reveal their name, but they sent me a card and said basically this, thanks for sending me to Genesis Gold Group. They are awesome to work with, and it is so nice to have people with a Christian view of the world helping me transfer the funds and stuff. Now, they said that I lost 20 to 25% of my 401k in the downturn. And then while they were able to get out in some bumps up and down, they still lost quite a bit. And they said it's hard watching your value disappear when you're kind of locked in and not being able to do anything about it. Since I rolled it over, I have been at peace. So, I mean, I get cards like that, and I know that you're doing good work over there, that you're not just, selling a product or moving something or helping people that way, but you're actually creating life change for people. Now, we haven't actually talked too much about your Christian foundation of the business, and that's one of the things that really drew me to your business. Could you just kind of share kind of how your Christian faith kind of impacts your business?
Yeah, I know you talked to me about that when we first met, and I always said it's not something at first I like to talk about because we never want to lead with that. When people speak to us and they kind of peel the onion back, so to speak, and they realize what our moral and beliefs kind of match up with clients' beliefs, then they feel more at ease and they feel like, well, we're talking to the right group. And one thing we believe in here is faith-based stewardship. So being a good steward of your money, well, sometimes that needs a little bit of help. So, we are able to help people make the right decisions, because any decision you make financially, it's a worry, right? And people worry because they want to make sure they're taking the right steps. They don't want to, take a misstep that will set them back further, because people are already moving their retirement vehicles from a place of fear and even desperation, because people are losing money month after month, especially if you have these 401ks and even these IRAs have taken a hit. So you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. So we're really here to, believe in our values and our principles, that, we're here to help, and we're here every step of the way. There's so many people at our company here that care, and there's so many people that will follow up with you after your transaction in precious metals, whether it's to pray with you, whether it's just to kind of have a voice to talk to, along with, updating our clients with market updates, portfolio updates, and communication is really key. I feel that the only time these financial advisors call their clients these days is when they liquidate their portfolio, because they're calling to say, hey, keep it in there. It will come back, take it on the chin like everybody else. And what they don't realize, it's not their money. Okay. And people that have worked hard all their lives and are now kind of seeing the nose of the plane begin to dip, while, they're looking for answers. And as people look for answers, and they're looking for stability, we're able to at least kind of identify what they're in, why they feel that, these portfolios could continue to go down if they don't do anything, and what the alternatives are. And obviously on that pyramid of scales of, or what I call base blocks, like the food pyramid, right? The food pyramid goes up, at the very bottom of that pyramid, I always say, is gold and silver. because that's the building blocks of a portfolio, or at least a diversified portfolio. So having physical metals, either holding on to it or even putting it into an IRA or 401k during what I feel are these turbulent times, really is the right direction to be moving into.
Yeah, and that's one of the real reasons why I've been just really confident working with you guys, is just as you've walked through all those things. Now, I don't know if you know that. I kind of have a background as an accountant, but I worked as a tax accountant for a family-owned wealth management company. So I kind of saw the inner workings of wealth management. And I talked to a bunch of the people that were coming from other wealth management companies and doing people's taxes, talking to them about how their wealth management companies have been dealing with them. And that's seeing it from that side of things. I definitely knew what I was looking for. And I really was able to sense your genuineness and see kind of how you handle your clients and everything like that.
Yeah. I appreciate that. It's funny because we get a lot of call-ins and people who are other accountants. I don't know if you know this, that follow you. So they may be, preppers and homesteaders, but they're also accountants. So I often, when they say, Steve Poplar referred me, I say, are you an accountant? And we kind of have a laugh with that. So absolutely, they understand, the numbers and what's happening. And the important thing is financial literacy, right? To kind of be informed and understand, in this market, an informed investor is a better investor. It simply is, because we've been thrown into these other investments and we just take the word of our financial advisor or even the establishment, right? If you've got a big sparkly name behind you, they're just really going in with that brand. And what we kind of do is just kind of, turn a spotlight onto what they're exactly in, so they can understand, the ins and outs of where they currently are and what that means for the future if they stay there.
Most wealth management companies do not really educate their clients. That's something that I've seen time and again, and it's really frustrating to me. They don't educate their clients about what they're doing, and then they do that whole just trust us kind of thing, and they get people invested in things they don't understand, and that's where I think the real problem with our whole financial system in the United States is we have hundreds of millions of people who have money invested in things that they don't understand. They don't understand stocks, they don't understand bonds, and yet they're heavily invested up to the eyeballs in these things, ETFs. There's so much complications. There's so much stuff going on that, if you don't understand, but everyone understands silver and gold, right? I mean, like, fundamentally, I think we all kind of get it. It's something that has value.
It's really stood the test of time. There's a little saying that you don't wait to buy gold, you buy gold on weight, right? And people say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, you don't have to worry about the CEO or the board of directors. Gold is kind of what we say is independent of market cycles. It doesn't answer to anyone. And throughout time and throughout history, there's been these cyclical events when there's uncertainty and unrest. People move their assets into gold and silver as a flight to safety and security. So you hear the word hedge, that's really what gold provides. It's a hedge against uncertainty. And unfortunately, in this environment and under this current administration, there has been a lot of uncertainty. And this uncertainty stems down from, social, economic issues, all the way down to people's pocketbooks. So, people are really beginning to wake up, ask the right questions, and when they're being impacted, where they're being financially taking these financial hits, there has to be a solution. So that's what people are searching for as well when they speak to us. Is like, how do we do this? What are the right and necessary steps to protect what we have?
Now, when you first talk to somebody, the first thing you say to them is how ridiculously wealthy they're going to get by investing in these awesome investments that you have for them, aren't you?
Absolutely not. So, we tell people that, these quick, rich schemes that people have been kind of lured into over the years. And the classic example for that is I talk about cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies, some have lost 97, 98% of their value. When Bitcoin came out, and I'm not saying Bitcoin's terrible, but, it tried to steal a lot of the thunder away from assets like gold. Bitcoin is the new gold. Well, that's been proven that's not the case. And putting assets like cryptocurrencies in there where people think they're going to double their money overnight, not only have they been proven wrong, but they've been financially wiped out. So, you want something in there that stood the test of time. Gold's never been worth zero. You're never going to hear us say, put everything into gold or it's going to double overnight. That's not why we do this. Based on the economy and what's happening with how the US dollar's unraveling and all the debt that we're in, then yes, absolutely. I can personally see gold prices $4,000, $5,000 an ounce here in the next few years. But the main reason people shift into gold is not to become rich overnight. It's to preserve what they have. And that's really the key that we talk about.
And when it comes to retirement accounts, that's really should be the number one goal, especially as you arrive close to retirement. And that's why they try to get you to shift out of stocks into bonds just as you come up on retirement. But the problem with that is that people don't understand how risky bonds can be. Could you just touch on that, just how risky bonds can be?
Well, when you're buying bonds, you're essentially, buying a debt. And over the years, bonds have been good when the economy has been fantastic, right? But right now, with the government, of fears of government shutdown, you've probably heard that, they're passing extreme measures to keep government open. That's important to know when you're investing in bonds, because if you're investing in utilities, schooling systems, sewage, and the governments can't pay their bills and you're in government traded bonds, then that's not going to be good for you to be able to cash out, because you're going to be at the end of the line. So again, during a bull market, a strong market, yeah, absolutely. Bonds, I've invested in them over the years. It's just that very unfortunate right now that there are limited assets that you can park your money into that really make sense and are going to offer you that hedge that we keep talking about.
Yeah. So if someone would reach out to you right now and to ask you some questions about their retirement account, like what you can do for them, what would be some of the questions you'd start asking them and some of the things you'd start wanting to point them in the direction of?
Yeah, well, we kind of find out, what they're currently in, and we kind of try and shed light on, if people say, well, I have an IRA, can we protect it? Well, before we kind of put the horse before the cart, let's look at this IRA. What exactly are you in? Because, sometimes it doesn't make sense to move it over. If you're making money, we never want to, move people that are in a financial gain position. If they're slowly bleeding out, then obviously, yes, that needs to be addressed. And then, when I ask people what's in the IRA, a lot of the times people say, well, it's just an IRA. I'm like, no, I understand, but what's in it? What are you invested in? And I don't say this to make people feel bad. It's just to kind of turn their attention to, okay, well, let's get educated. Let's recap, because like you mentioned, these wealth managers, they're very poor at communicating and letting you know what you're in. So it's really getting that education and understanding of where you're currently at, the position where you're at, and then understanding how a gold-backed IRA works. How's this new custodian going to work with my current custodian? How do the funds get rolled over? Where are the metals kept? The metals are kept to the licensed depository backed by major exchanges. What happens when I take RMDs, required mandatory distributions? So, before people springboard straight into the gold pile, we like to kind of, slow it down a little bit and kind of educate these people along the way, so they're not just thrown into something like they were before, but as they move along, they completely understand, why they're doing this and the mechanics of how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the honest thing to do. I mean, to educate and to make sure people feel uncomfortable with what's going on, because it's in the end, the retirement funds do not belong to the wealth managers. They may think that, but ultimately, those belong to the clients. That's your money, folks. That's not somebody else's money, and they shouldn't be sitting there trying to tell you what you ought to do with the money. They should be asking you, what do you want to do with it?
They sure do call them, though, when they have to liquidate. I mean, even this morning we had a very large IRA rollover, and again, they hadn't heard from their financial advisor, but once they put their sell order in, it's amazing. They just miraculously start calling. So again, it comes back to being a good steward of your money, understanding the problems that we're facing. You know, I've talked to you about this everything bubble in the past, and the everything bubble just really consists of all the problems and the woes that the US economy is facing, whether it's high interest rates, inflation, which I could do a whole show on inflation with you. Obviously, it's scary, right? And obviously debt, the amount of $31 trillion, the debt that we're in, you know, tensions with Russia and Ukraine. So the everything bubble really encompasses everything that's happening in the world and global economies right now. And, you know, what's going to be the first domino that falls that really, you know, sends us into a financial extreme situation where, you know, we're looking at collapse of currencies or a collapse of the stock market or collapse of supply chain issues. So there's many factors out there. There isn't one that people home in on necessarily, one versus the other. I personally look at debt. I think debt does matter. And the amount of debt that this country is in, we're addicted to printing money. You know, that's never going to change. And you can only kick this can down the road for so long before, you know, the can doesn't move and you stub your foot and you're going to go out. And the repercussions of that, you know, the fallout can be, you know, a lot of people losing values across, you know, multiple, you know, Dow Jones, the S&P 500, in Britain, the FTSE, you know, multiple markets. It won't be pretty.
Yeah, and one of the things that I actually did an in-depth study on how bonds behave in a stock market crash, and it was truly horrifying when you start looking at what bonds did during 2008 and what during an actual crash, not so much just a downturn like 2001, but the bond markets just lock up. There's just no buyers. I mean, they're already hard to buy. You know, it's hard to get in and out because there's just not usual buyers. But when the market's crashing, nobody has money sitting there. And so bonds can crash 20, 30% in a day. I mean, and then, you know, sometimes they bounce back, but it's just catastrophic. And nobody's actually seen what happens to an ETF during a crash yet. That's another thing. Like everybody's in ETFs, but ETFs were not really a thing in 2008. Like they started to exist, but like there were very few and very little money was in them. Now everybody's in the SPY and the QQQ, and everybody's in these ETFs just heavily, and nobody's actually seen what happens to these things during a market crash. Yeah. Theoretically, they'll be okay. But,
I'm glad you bring that up because it reminds me, you know, people say to us, well, you know, I'm investing in gold. Is this an ETF? You know, is it a gold stock? And that's some of the questions people actually do ask us. And we say, no, this is physical gold. Like gold, you hold it, dropped it on your foot, you'd go out, right? Because ETFs, you know, that's paper. You're not actually owning the gold. And the safest way to own precious metals is to physically hold on to it. Again, gold stocks, you're really investing in the management team of that company, and if they don't mine any gold out of the ground, you don't make any money. So again, you know, ETFs,
they still get a salary though.
Yeah, they do. That you're applying for. So physically hold on to it. That's what's really what we kind of preach to people, and is going to be the safest avenue for our investors.
Yeah, and I can't highly recommend enough folks that have retirement accounts that are in stocks and bonds, and they want to get not into a gold ETF or buy some paper, but to actually get into physical silver, gold, or platinum. All three of those are great options right now. Platinum's looking pretty good actually, and silver is kind of my favorite, but gold has stood the test of time too. So, but getting into those physical items, I think is critical. Not a bank's promise that they will give you physical, maybe, or cash equivalent of whatever it would be in physical. Like, be done with the bank promises and make sure that it's actual physical that you're invested in. So,
yeah, you don't want an IOU, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for joining us, and we have you your information down in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment. Give Jonathan a call if you have any questions about retirement funds and what you can do. We have a bunch of people that have moved part of their retirement funds over, not all of them, right? And we've also had some people that move all their retirement funds. And I think sometimes we always think of like it's an all or nothing kind of thing, but diversifying some of your retirement account into physical and gold, silver, platinum would maybe be a great fit for you. And Jonathan will talk to you about that too.
Be my pleasure.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching. There's a video popping up on the screen right up here. If I can get my mirror image back, I'll see you guys over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar and Jonathan Rose out.
Thank you.